Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District presents the Primary Practices On-Demand Video Collection, which highlights powerful classroom management strategies for primary educators. The second series of videos in this collection, Enriching the Environment, emphasizes the impact of the physical classroom space on students' academic and social success. When we hone in on and understand how visual information is processed, we can design purposeful environments that reinforce our routines and maximize student outcomes. In the first part of this video series, we introduce the science behind design and how it influences the brain's executive functions: organization, task initiation, inhibition, and working memory. Now, let's jump into how our brains process information from the spaces and faces around us. We are concerned with three modes of information processing in the classroom. They are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. We visually process information such as pictures, print, color, and facial expressions. Auditorily, we process verbal communication, music, and noise from materials and people in our environment. We can think of kinesthetic information such as movement, physical interaction with the space, and feelings. Though each of these sensory processes are important to learning, this video will focus on how to tap into the power of visuals in our classrooms. So why should we use them? Visuals are consistent and without tone. They are transferable between environments and people, and they allow time for language processing. Moreover, visuals can reduce anxiety, promote self-confidence, and increase independence. Let's check out some examples of how to incorporate purposeful visuals to support our students' executive functioning. Just as we rely on to-do lists, calendars, and other written reminders to accomplish tasks, visual schedules can be used with all levels and abilities. A well-structured schedule provides students with a clear understanding of when they will utilize various areas and what activities are planned throughout the day. As students transition between different activities, make sure to refer to the schedule to maintain a smooth flow. By incorporating schedules, you can instill a sense of structure and predictability, ultimately enhancing the learning experience for your students. Take note of our 4 executive function icons at the top right. Remember, these represent organization, task initiation, inhibition, and working memory. Consider how using visual schedules helps students stay organized, follow directions, regulate their impulses, and complete tasks. Some students may benefit from a visual mini-schedule through a first-then presentation, such as sitting on the rug before moving to a tub activity. One practical method to achieve this is by laminating the individual components of the daily schedule and attaching Velcro to the back of each piece. By doing so, you create a dynamic and interactive learning tool that encourages both structure and engagement. Visuals can even be adapted and made accessible for students across settings in the classroom. Another way to visually support executive function and processing skills is to keep materials organized and out of view when not in use. We reduce clutter by having a designated space for things, such as labeled bins. Use a combination of words and pictures to indicate what is stored in the bins. This visual support helps students identify where to find the items they need and where to put them away. Consider concealing materials when not in use to prevent students from distraction. In lieu of fabric, pocket charts Velcroed to the shelf or held up with magnets are a great solution to keep additional supplies out of sight. Physical boundaries help keep us comfortable and safe. In fact, we all benefit from boundaries in sports, parking lots, and even hazardous construction areas. Our classrooms are no different. It's important that we establish distinct zones in our spaces, such as whole group areas and stations around the room. We can use tape, small rugs, or even a small bookshelf to distinguish these designated areas. Notice the stop sign hanging in the picture in the right. This helps students inhibit or control their impulse to enter areas that are not to be accessed at that time. As adults, Most of us understand the unspoken, unseen bubble of personal space. Yet, our youngest learners are still developing this concept, and by creating defined boundaries, we can help them internalize these social skills. It is common to see whole group rugs or sit spots used in whole group areas. One way that we can help reinforce personal space and appropriate behavior at these times is by having a seating chart displayed whenever students are to come to that area. Our young learners are motivated by pictures of their faces and can take ownership of their spot in the group. Students can benefit greatly by having their individual workspaces clearly defined. We can create these visual cues by taping off sections of a table or even areas on the floor. Another method is to use trays or placemats to define work areas. Take a moment to reflect on how defined physical boundaries help our students with their organization, task initiation, inhibition, and working memory. Both adults and kids alike love a good I Spy or Where's Waldo book. The visual distraction makes it challenging to focus and find the hidden items or Waldo. Oftentimes, our learning spaces end up looking like a page out of one of these books. However, this visual noise hijacks working memory and makes it difficult for students to process the information we want them to. Visual noise hinders our ability to concentrate, communicate, and even learn. Therefore, there's a few ideas that we want to remember when it comes to visual noise. First, what you reference takes preference. This means that if an anchor chart or a visual is not regularly referenced, it should not take up space. Consider rotating anchor charts or creating digital means of referencing information. Classroom routines and procedures should be prominently displayed and referenced daily. Second is to direct the focus. There are so many cute graphics and icons to choose from nowadays. When choosing images to use in our classroom, it's important to consider a few factors. 1, clarity. Can everyone understand what it is and what it means? 2, simplicity. Are there extraneous stimuli in the picture that may distract or overstimulate? 3, are all students represented in some way across the classroom? 4, is the same set of images used across settings? This means that the image on the tub is the same that matches the graphic on the screen. Anchoring content or ideas to a physical space in the room is beneficial to memory. By placing all of your classroom expectations, consequence menus, and matrices together, students can begin to use its location or anchor to tie to that content. For example, like an academic anchor chart, it is important to physically move to our classroom expectation visuals when referencing them. To minimize distractions, consider centralizing artwork and extraneous decorations into one designated area, rather than scattering them throughout the entire space. While student art and creation should be celebrated, they can be displayed in a manner that minimizes distractions. When artwork is spread across the room, it can result in some children being frequently drawn to the visual stimuli. Last, stay color conscious. Colors can affect how we process information. When designing your classroom, it's important to consider colors. Be sure to stick around 3 main colors if possible to avoid overstimulation and extraneous visual noise. This includes 1 neutral color, such as a tan or a gray, and then 2 bright yet calming colors. Greens and blues are always a go-to choice. Remember, intentional classroom design enhances student learning and improves students' ability to self-regulate, which, even more so than IQ or academic test scores, is one of the strongest predictors of future success. Tune into our final series of the Primary Practices Collection, where we explore how to cultivate a culture of co-regulation. We encourage you to implement the strategies from this video to enhance your classroom management. Thank you for taking the time to view our professional development on demand.